We're just 1 week away from the biggest crypto event in the US. And honestly, it feels like an amazing time to be part of this world. The biggest economy in the world is not only welcoming crypto, but really helping it grow. That's huge. What's even more exciting is that Ripple seems to be perfectly lined up with this big movement, that there's so much to talk about here, and we need to discuss it. Let's go back to June 27th when Ripple decided to drop their cross appeal with the SEC. Now, they're hoping the SEC will drop their appeal too, but so far, we haven't heard anything. We're still waiting. Honestly, I can't see any reason why the SEC wouldn't drop this appeal and just move on to IT. Feels like it's time to put this case behind us. That said, I think this matches up pretty well with what's happening in the US right now, and we'll talk about that soon. First, I want to talk about Ripple's recent announcement about applying for a national bank charter license from the OCC. That's a pretty big move, and it's super interesting that we've talked about it before, but it's worth talking about more. All right, let's break this down. The main focus here isn't really about Ripple becoming a bank. It's more about what this move lets Ripple do next. And that's where things get really interesting. They're applying for a Fed Master account, which could give them direct access to hold Rust reserves with the Federal Reserve. This would add an extra layer of safety and help build long-term trust in Rust. Pretty big deal right now. We'll talk more about this in just a bit. There are a few other things happening soon, like what's coming up around July 14th or that week that connect to all of this. So stick around because it's all connected and you want to remember this. Let's talk about July 14th. Mark your calendars because it's shaping up to be a huge week for crypto. The U.S. House has officially said the week of July 14th will be Crypto Week, where they'll be talking about major laws like the Clarity Act, the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, and the Genius Act. This could seriously be one of the biggest weeks in crypto history. Why? Because what happens here could completely change the game for the U.S. crypto market and even spread out to affect the global crypto scene. The decisions made during this week might set the tone for how other countries deal with crypto moving forward. It's a big deal and could really speed things up around the world. The official announcement is already live on the Financial Services website. Big news from Capitol Hill. The House Committee on Financial Services Chairman French Hill, House Committee on Agriculture Chairman G.T. Thomas, and House leadership have announced that the week of July 14th will officially be Crypto Week. Exciting, right? Here's what they had to say. We're taking historic steps to make sure the U.S. stays at the front of innovation. We can't wait to see what Crypto Week brings to the House. After years of hard work in Congress, we're making big progress with landmark laws to create a clear rule system for digital assets. This system is all about protecting consumers and investors, setting clear rules for making and using dollar-backed payment stablecoins, and making sure Americans' financial privacy is protected by permanently blocking the creation of a central bank digital currency, CBDC. Funny enough, it's interesting to see stablecoins and CBDCs mentioned together here, almost like they're totally different things. I want to thank my colleagues in Congress and the Trump administration for their partnership and leadership. I'm also ready to work with the Senate as they push forward with their standalone market structure law, aiming to get it done by the end of September. House. Republicans are making big moves to advance President Trump's vision for digital assets and cryptocurrency. During Crypto Week, 3 major bills are up for discussion. The Clarity Act, the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, and the Senate's Genius Act, a strong team-up between the Financial Services and Agriculture Committees led by Chairman French Hill and G.T. Thomas. I'm also excited for President Trump to sign these important measures into law as part of our promise to make the U.S. a global leader in digital assets. House Republicans are getting ready for Crypto Week. We'll be bringing the Clarity Act, the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act, and the Senate's Genius Act to the floor. These bills are all about supporting growth, innovation, and giving a clear path forward for digital assets. When you break it down, all these quotes are pointing to one thing. They want to push for wider crypto adoption and really open up the market in the U.S. As Brian Steele puts it, this could be the golden age of digital assets starting right here in the U.S. And honestly, it all comes down to getting the right laws passed to make it happen. That we've been following a lot of what's been happening in the crypto space this year. And wow, has it been busy. Looking back at all the developments from April, May, and June alone, 2025 is already shaping up to be a huge year for crypto, and we're only 7 months in. Honestly, it's crazy to think about how much the U.S. government has been working on crypto rules that IT feels like a complete turnaround compared to just a few years ago. And if you thought things were slowing down, think again. Crypto Week has been packed with major law moves, and there's more coming. According to Eleanor Turret, the next 2 weeks are going to be big for crypto in Congress. Next Wednesday, the Senate Banking Committee is holding a market structure hearing, and we might even see a discussion draft take shape. Next week kicks off the House's big crypto week, and there's PLE. Anyone to watch for. This week is already shaping up to be exciting with a full committee hearing on market structure led by the banking GOP. Mark your calendars. It's happening Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've got an amazing lineup of witnesses, including Brad Garlinghouse, Ripple CEO, the Blockchain Association CEO, Chainalysis' CEO, and a general partner from Paradigm. Yep, Ripple CEO will be front and center at this key hearing on market structure. It's going to be an event you won't want to miss. This takes me back to when I mentioned the FSB giving Ripple a chance to share their thoughts on global crypto regulatory frameworks back in December 2022, right in the middle of their SEC lawsuit. And guess who was on the FSB board at the time? Gary Gensler. If that doesn't make you question if this lawsuit was real and think it's all been planned out, I don't know what will. Now, let's fast forward to the week of July 14th, because when we talk about things being planned, this week is a perfect example. What's happening that week? The Federal Reserve is rolling out ISO 20022 for the Fed Wire Fund Service on July 14th. At the same time, Congress is also calling that week Crypto Week. And at the same time, Ripple is filing for a Fed Master account and applying for a national bank charter with the OCC. Seriously, you couldn't make this stuff up. For anyone saying ISO 20022 has nothing to do with Ripple and XRP, hold on a second. Let me break it down for you. I actually talked about this back in May 2023. So, if you've been following Ripple and XRP, this might sound familiar. You've probably heard of Volante, right? They're kind of a big deal that we're talking about a company that works with 125 banks, financial institutions, clearing houses, and corporate treasuries across 35 countries. Oh, and let's not forget, they handle millions of transactions and trillions in val. Every day, they power 4 of the top 5 corporate banks, process 40% of all U.S. commercial bank deposits, and support 70% of global card traffic. Yeah, they're that massive. So, here's the scoop on Ripple from a guide for banks and financial institutions about ISO 20022 migration. It's pretty fascinating. What's even more exciting is that Volante just extended their partnership with Citi for global ISO 20022 migration. It's wild how the connections between Citi and Ripple keep building, especially since the Medico acquisition. Definitely something worth keeping an eye on. Oh, and check this out. I'll pull up something from Volante real quick. FinTech Futures share 5 key success factors for a smooth ISO 20022 migration in their guide for banks and financial institutions. Oh, here we have a section just below this quote from HSBC.by the way, a known partner of Ripple. Remember, they announced plans to turn gold into tokens using Ripple through Ripple custody. Pretty exciting, right? Now, just below that, there's a key point about how the shift to ISO 20022 is about more than just checking boxes for SWIFT or market infrastructure requirements. It's all about adapting to a payment system that's constantly changing and full of variety. Big changes are happening in the payments world, and the next few years are set to reshape the industry in ways we can only begin to imagine. New ideas and fresh innovations are paving the way, and at the center of it all is ISO 20022. This global standard is designed to bring together different systems, standards, and payment methods from around the world, creating a more unified and efficient system. One standout example of this is Ripple. In May 2020, Ripple, a well-known competitor to SWIFT, became the first distributed ledger technology company to join the ISO 20022 standards body. It's a major step forward and shows just how big of a role this standard will play in the future of payments. And this insight comes courtesy of Volante. Did you know one of the biggest names in institutional finance, Deutsche Bank, is fully on board with ISO 20022? Their Flow platform even published a post last November 7th highlighting how ISO 20022 is paving the way for a more connected future. Here's where it gets exciting. There's a quote from Standard Chartered that says, "We could use ISO 20022 to bridge between traditional and decentralized finance." But wait, it gets even better. Ripple is mentioned directly. The post highlights a growing number of payment service providers and coin platforms that are native to ISO 20022, including Circle's USDC and Ripple's XRP. This insight comes straight from Standard Chartered's global head of transaction banking. ISO 20022 could be the perfect bridge between traditional finance and decentralized finance. When you combine its rich data capabilities with emerging technologies, you get an incredible innovation system. Pretty exciting, right? There's been a growing discussion about how ISO 20022 adoption needs to be considered alongside new tech. Some people say, oh, ISO 20022 has nothing to do with blockchain, DLT, or XRP. Well, guess what? It has everything to do with them. IT actually enables these technologies. Oh, and just to share, I mentioned this over my community on X. If you're not a member yet, it's free to join. I even got 100% confirmation from a major bank employee on how critical ISO 20022 will be. I was just talking about this. What's even more fascinating is that they specifically mention Ripple and XRP right alongside Circle's USDC. Fun fact, Standard Chartered was an early investor in Ripple back in 2016. Plus, Zodiac Custody from Standard Chartered is actually part of Ripple Custody. Oh, and did I mention that Ripple was